let us talk about the Master Duel ban list. I know a lot of you are probably here for TCG reasons, but there's a ban list in Master Duel. We need to talk about it. In my mind, I mean, you guys know I qualified for Master Duel Worlds, so I'm questioning, is this the last ban list we get until Worlds? Because this goes into effect on June 30th, and Master Duel Worlds are in August. So I don't know if we're gonna get one more after. It's not guaranteed, I think. Maybe we will, but maybe this is the last one until Worlds. I'm assuming there's one more. I am assuming there is one more, but we're getting closer and closer. Basically, in my head, I'm like, Master Duel Worlds is approaching, and I need to know what the format is going to be. And we're getting closer and closer to knowing what the format is, because this ban list brings us one step closer. There's probably one more secret pack coming out or whatever. So some new cards. But anyways, let's look at this ban list. Metaverse from 2 to 3. I couldn't care less. This card is absolutely fine. Should be at 3, yes. Branded Fusion from 3 to 2. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of consistency hits like that. I'm a bigger fan of hitting cards to lower what the deck can do, rather than just make it do the same thing but less consistently. So I don't love this hit. Now it's like two Aluber, 2 opening, 2 Branded Fusion. I'm not a fan of that. Like, just either hit the card, like ban cards that, like, either ban cards or don't touch them in that case. Like, consistency cards like this, I'm not a fan of it, but it is what it is. The same goes for Sprite Jet. I would have been a bigger fan of, like, like, I hate to say it, but banning Elf. Right? Elf is still legal in Master Duel, isn't it? It is, right? Yeah, Elf is still legal. So Elf ban makes a lot more sense than hitting Jet to 2. But okay. Swap Frog from 3 to 2 is crazy to me, because that literally doesn't matter. Like, Jet to 2, okay, lowers consistency, does something. Swap Frog to 2 is just irrelevant. I sometimes played 3 Swap Frog, but very often I only played 2, because I just didn't think it was necessary to play 3. You don't need 3 Swap Frogs. You can play 2. It literally doesn't matter. So this one's completely ridiculous in my mind. M-Pen to 1. M-Pen to 1 is a hit that I like, because I don't like Flunder. But I don't even know if M-Pen to 1 matters that much. I mean, essentially you lose 1 M-Pen, which makes it so you can maybe outgrind Flunder a little bit better. But it's, yeah. This one on the other hand, I think is cool because it's not a consistency hit, right? M-Pen is not something you wanted to open. M-Pen is searchable. This is a resource hit, right? This is a resource game. Adjustment, right? Your deck is a little bit worse in the grind game now. You can still do the same stuff on turn 1, but it, like, in the long run, you can run out of M-Pens, and that can present a win condition to your opponent. I like that sort of hit. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying consistency hits like these up here. I'm not the biggest fan of. The one-off M-Pen hit, I'm down for. Now Eradicator from 3 to 1. I have no idea what this is about. Like, did they just watch German Nationals finals and be like, I was rooting for Tom. I'm a limit Eradicator now. We do get Labyrinth, but I quickly want to point out that most Labyrinths play 1. I think Dinkabui might have played more, but if Dinkabui played more, they were definitely in the side deck. if you play more than one Eradicator, it's definitely in your side deck, not in your main deck. So like this, in a best of 3 world like Master Duel is, a best of 1 world like Master Duel is, limiting Eradicator is not a hit at all. This is not like ridiculous hit. Celiac from 3 to 1. This is a good change. I like this change. I was hoping for more in the sense of tier limits, but this one I think is fine. This one I think is fine. It gives you, it has a lot of implications that are good. You can, if you use Foolish Burial Goods to send it, you cannot search it with Scream anymore. It lowers the deck's consistency a little bit. You will not be able to end on Celiac as consistently, because if you mill Celiac, it's gone. If you don't mill Celiac, you don't get the search. I think that is an okay hit, actually. Still not the greatest one. Like, if you really want to hit tier limits, you can do it other ways, you know? Like, they still have Kit, they have Sprint, they have Elf. Not a fan of the only Celiac, right? Celiac to 1 is fine. I'm not a fan that it's only Celiac. Because this is it. This is all the changes for this ban list. Now, I have been, in the past, I've been saying things like it's okay for Master Duel to do smaller, less consequential hits on the ban list because they do them very frequently, right? They do them very frequently, and that's why it's okay if they're not as impactful. However, I can't really defend this one, because this particular one, I think, is one of my least favorite ban lists that they've done in Master Duel. Like, this one is just like, some of the hits just don't make sense. Like, Eradicator and Swap Frog, I think, are completely pointless. Some of the hits, like Branded Fusion and Jet, I just don't agree with the direction that this is going. Like, I don't like consistency hits like that. The only hits I agree with, or the only things I really agree with on this list, are Metaverse Unban, but that doesn't really matter. I agree with 1 Empen, even though it's not really that impactful, but I do agree with it. And I also, the same thing goes for Celiac. Right? It's like, I think Celiac to 1 is a good hit, although not sufficient and not exactly what they should have done. So I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not a fan of this ban list. I don't think this is gonna make the game unplayable. You know, nothing completely dumb happened here. Or like nothing that ruins the game happened. So it's kind of just like a non-ban list. It's kind of like something that we ignore and move on, pretty much, with just slightly less consistent decks than before. So it's kind of like one of those it is what it is angles, you know. Worlds will be cash versus tier like in the lore. We'll see about that. Don't forget that before the World Championship happens, there's still 1 more pack and probably 1 more list, right? So this is not the end all be all for Master Duel, which is always the light at the end of the tunnel for Master Duel. If there's a ban list that you don't like, the next one is just in 4 weeks, right? It's very different than in the TCG. If the TCG messes up a ban list, we're doomed. If Master Duel messes up a ban list, it's fine. They have another, like, in 4 weeks, we get another one, right? The one thing that I'm afraid of, genuinely, is I just don't want, but I'm kind of afraid that that's what's going to happen, is that Worlds is going to be Cash Tira format, which I really don't want that to be the case. I don't want that to be the case. However, I'm afraid that it probably will be. Right? It probably will be, and that's really annoying to me. But, yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, you can't change that, right? You can't really change that. It's looking like Worlds is going to be Cash Tira format. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping they hold back. I don't know if the Cash Tiras have been announced or leaked or data mined or whatever. I don't know. Genuinely, no idea. I'm assuming next up on the release schedule is Labyrinth and Kashtira. So we'll see. We'll see. In that case, honestly, in that case, I would really hope that they do some preemptive hits like they've been doing, right? They've been doing that in the past.